Is it normal for creators, if they come into a new sector, whether it's an indie comic scene or whether it's a crowd-funded scene or anything else, is it normal for creators, existing creators, to naturally take more of the spotlight than some of the people who maybe started a movement? This is kind of, in my mind, one of those kind of common sense topics, but it's also one that people get very sensitive about. So let's see if we can wade into it. Hey everybody, this is Perch. One of the things that always drives me crazy about videos and things like this is you do a video. I mean, for me anyway, I'm not speaking for anybody else. I do a video, I do some thoughts. I think I've explained to everybody. I mean, it's obvious if you just listen to it. I'm here, I'm entertaining myself during a commute. That's what's going on. I'm talking, I'm driving, and I'm kind of expressing some of what I think and hopefully putting out some content that help people. That's the idea. I'm just sharing my wisdom, what I know, to everyone else. At the same time, I have no delusions of grandeur. I don't have a professional studio set up. I see some of these videos where they have the guys are sitting in their fancy gamer chair and they've got their headset and everything on, and it's like, I mean, good for you. I wish I could be doing that. I'm not. I'm in the car driving to work. So that's what I'm doing. And so as a result, my audio quality is worse. My content's not going to be as polished. I've got no monetization, no super chats going. But I'm happy doing what I'm doing. And I think every now and then somebody's come in and gone, you're never going to have the subs that a diversity in comics will have. It's like, yeah, no, no, of course. like, yeah. What do you think? I mean, of course that. That's not the goal here. I don't think I look at my sub count. I'm like, I have no idea how I got this amount of people, and I'm sure other people don't either. So cool. We're all aligned. That's where things are at. Anyway, there are some topics, though, you get into it, and then people immediately take to filming reaction videos. And I'm always, every now and then, people have done this about me. There's a reaction video. Now, most of the time, unless somebody tags me, and I appreciate it when people do that, I have no idea that your reaction video even exists because I'm just not looking around. I'm not connected into the drama of comics that others are. So, I don't go hunting for videos to react to. I don't go hunting for people who react to my videos. I know they're out there. In general, I hear somebody do a reaction video. I'm like, hey, I'm flattered you listened. Good for you. Whether you agree with me or not. Some of the time they don't agree with me. And I'm like, every now and then somebody doesn't agree with me and they do a reaction video and they're like, with all great respect to Perch. I mean, I hate to insult Perch. It's like, insult me. I don't care. I don't disagree, man. That's one of the things I'm hoping that our society in general can do. But one of the things I'd wish for comics and the community of comics is that people need to be more comfortable with disagreement, like disagree. Like this whole industry is housed on disagreement. It's like, I like Batman better than Superman. That's my opinion. Other people will disagree. I don't think that needs to be World War II or three or whatever, five, when somebody disagrees with you. That's what opinions are for. So nothing wrong with that. Anyway, that's my view. Whatever. Um, it's, what a wonderful world this is. Anyway, I always hate it though when I put out a topic and somebody's like got to do an immediate hot take and then they spy on each other. Like I had another which not Doug Ernst, one of the other guys, the known people in the comic community, sends me this DM. It wasn't Doug Ernst. Hell, I'm not going to remember it right now. But anyway, sends me a DM saying, "Hey, a bunch of people are messaging me saying you mentioned me in one of your videos. What was that all about?" And I'm like, "Oh, I've said you were somebody who talked about comics in the past." Like, oh, they made it sound like there was a bunch of drama. I'm like, nope, it's at the 6 minute 41 second mark on this video right here, I say that you exist. That's it. So I don't. I mean, these people who go and they want to spy and tattle on each other. I don't. God, it seems so petty. And I feel like a lot of these live streams and these reaction videos to reaction videos to reaction videos is coming from a bunch of people like just tattling on each other like little pansies. That's always how it comes across to me. But so this video I'm about to do feels like one of those where that will happen though. So Comics Gate as a movement. Um, one of the things that is there's many different talking points about it. I don't want to get into Comicsgate, but what I am getting into is one of the, I guess, the debates or the arguments around it, which was, there was this movement and it had some people in it, and they were making comics, or they're complaining about comics, or both. They were trying to create some industry, some standards around how creators, professional behavior online, and so on. And then some pros came in, some pro creators, the Ethan Van Sciver, John Malin's, God, this guy's Donald DeLay. Probably pissed that guy off by spacing on his name. Anyway, they came in and then they took over the movement. They started, they were bigger names, and then suddenly all the attention went to them, and then they started acting like kind of arrogant jackasses, and then the whole thing blew up. And that, whether you believe it blew up or didn't blow up, it's a matter of opinion. Nobody can come in and say it did or it didn't. It's up to you to decide whether those activities turned you off or not. But the one thing that is true in that area, in that the thing I just described, is that you did have a situation where you had, relatively unknown people. They started something newer. They used the technology. I'll take this from a technology standpoint. They started using the technology that was available to them, in this case, social media and YouTube, and they established kind of some noise, some attention, and then some bigger names drifted into that sphere, that area, and then as a result of them being bigger names, they took a lot of the attention of what was going on in that space. And I mean, first off, that's normal. What I just described is common. That's what happens in all kinds of things. Whenever you have any kind of pop culture or society or tech disruption that goes on, generally speaking, you've got, early adopter disruptors. You've got people coming in you've never heard of before. They've got an idea, they've done something, and they create this foundation or this bed where noise can happen. And then invariably, as soon as things have gotten stable, and as soon as people realize there's a business opportunity to be had, some bigger names come into the space, and they take advantage of that platform that has been made. When I say take advantage, I don't mean that in a sneaky, nasty, they abused someone or they took some power or anything like that. I mean, take advantage in the standpoint of they leveraged the new technology, new platform, new messaging, whatever it happens to be, to their benefit, and then they had a natural advantage that they did not have to, build their name. Like a lot of the early adopters, the initial no-name people, they were building their personas. When bigger name people come in, hey, they've already got a persona. It's kind of like how you have Instagram. You have a bunch of people who are trying to build up their Instagram following, and you get a couple people who are relative unknowns that nobody knows that become Instagram famous. But then sooner or later, Christy Teigen or various celebrities kind of come into the space, and they are able to immediately jump to a follower count that a lot of the people who had no names had to struggle to get to or never were able to get to. And what I just described is normal, and it's a result of you leverage your name to get to a new space, and that's how business and life works. I think you can debate, is that fair or not? And the answer is, I mean, it's neither not fair or fair. That's life. What I just described is life. When somebody can bank and basically invest in themselves and then take out that investment in the form of their name, then that's an advantage they've built for themselves. Is it fair? I mean, so here's the kind of the debate that I see going on, and I think again you can have lots of different viewpoints on it, but people say, well, it's not fair that a Ethan Van Sciver, who leveraged DC Comics to build up a name and a reputation for himself, was able to come into a creator-owned movement, a Comicsgate type thing, and suddenly be the biggest name there. He became the biggest fish in a small pond by nature of his name. And I think that the way I just described it is a little weird, because it's, first of all, like I said, it's normal. What I just described is how the world and business works. It's not like like an Ethan Van Sciver uh, had no name or no reputation or no ability whatsoever. He couldn't draw anything. And then he comes, DC Comics just magically kind of waves the DC Comics magic wand at him, and suddenly, he draws some comics and gets popular, but he has no skill. His marketing, they market him because he's lucky. He won the DC Comics lottery. And then one day he decides to move over to Comicsgate, and he still can't draw, write, or anything, and everybody hates him. But because he's got this name, he magically wins the Comicsgate lottery. Do you see how absurd what I just said makes no sense? Like that's it. Not only is that a terrible analogy, that's not how the world works. So you can certainly dislike a John Malin or a Van Sciver or a Art Filbert or Adal Delay. I got his name better that time, or any of these people. You can or Doug TenNapel or the guy who this is honking the horn outside. What do you know? People are pissed off tonight. Anyway, you can dislike these people for who they are, their personalities. Maybe they're too arrogant, too egotistical. Maybe you're sick of the self-congratulatory patting on the back. Who is a pro wrestler that used to self high five? Maybe you're sick of that. I get it. I don't like arrogant, egotistical behavior. It's a big turn off for me. I will work very hard in my life to gravitate away from those people, and probably too much so. Like there's some people who I think are good people who have good ideas and good things to share that I will avoid because I don't like this sense of ego that sometimes comes off of them. That's everybody. It's your pick, your choice. You can do whatever you want. But it at the same time, that their attitude and their personalities it's not the history of how they got to where they are. If somebody is popular in a field and they built up their career by hook or by crook or by talent or whatever it happens to be, if they have a name one place, they move into another place, then yeah, that name and that reputation and that background is going to give them an advantage. And for the record, again, no matter what you think of the individuals themselves, there's no denying that getting to be a bigger name in comics is not easy. It's not like you just wander into a building one day with your pencil and then you're the lead artist for Green Lantern. You have to have some talent. I mean, DC Comics they reprinted Van Sciver's work on T-shirts and posters and all kinds of crap, and they did not do that for others. So every now and then I see somebody do a tweet like, I never liked his artwork. I mean, again, personal opinion, cool, but you'd have to be crazy to say that he didn't establish a name and a reputation, not his personal reputation, but a professional reputation for drawing these characters in ways that people paid for and seemed to like. And so if you take somebody in that space and you move them into a much smaller space, which was Comicsgate, then yeah, they're going to be the biggest names. Now, at the same time, I think there's, obviously some humility that can take place. I do think that, some of these guys will post things and say, hey, we just did it better than you. You don't be sour. And it's like, yeah, I mean, that's not from the How to Win Friends and Influence People book, but whatever. Again, it's your professional career. You guide it, you steer it however you want, just like other people can buy whatever they want. And if you're coming in with a reputation, a lot of basically fame and success in your past, then it's you're going to have a lot of credibility cashed in the bank that you can leverage, and that's what they do. So, do I wish these people would be a little bit more humble, or in some cases a lot more humble? Yeah, absolutely. I think that would be certainly a nice thing. I would enjoy it more. I think a lot of people would enjoy it more. But at the end of the day, that's theirs to solve. And if somebody comes in and they're very, very talented, but they prove over time they're just such a colossal jackass to work with that nobody will deal with them, which is kind of the case of what happened to like a John Byrne back in the day, then things happen. I mean, look, Rob Liefeld had a reputation for being a big jackass to a bunch of people with a lot of infighting and other things, and he had fights. I mean, Tom Brevoort and Rob Liefeld went at it like angrily went at it, and then here he is a few years later doing work for Marvel. So I mean, anything can happen. You can come up, come down, whatever. It's your career ultimately to manage and do, and just like it's the buyer's, decision on what to purchase and what to buy. But I think this is what I've said is just a very long-winded, rambly way of saying something what I think pretty simple and straightforward, and that's if you have a big name and you come into a smaller movement, then that you're going to be an even bigger name in that movement. It's classic big fish, small pond scenario. And if the pond grows, then that big fish won't be as big. And if the pond doesn't grow, the big fish is going to continue to be big and maybe drown if all the water goes out of that pond. I mean, or not drown, suffocate. I don't know what I'm talking about. I have beaten these analogies to death today. So there you have it. Again, who knows? I just feel like there's a lot of drama around this topic that doesn't need to be. I mean, a lot of these things are common sense. Water is wet. Like popular people are popular people. What are you going to do? I mean, I think it's I wish that the world had an easier way for true amazing talents to get known and recognized and be successful in the world. That would be awesome. And I think the more movements, not just creator owned movements. I mean, one of the reason I'm in favor as a comic retailer, as a shop owner, one of the reasons I'm in favor of big publishers, small publishers, indie publishing, self-publishing, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Amazon Print on Demand, Comixology, Digital Direct, all these things. The more, the better. The more opportunities there are for people to get their comics and their ideas out into the world, then the more chances for talent to rise to the top. The smaller, the fewer venues there are, the less chance there are for truly talented people to be successful because there's just fewer places for them to go. So I'm in favor of all of these things and more. The more, the better. And that's why you can look at something like a, creator-driven movement or a Comicsgate or a self-publishing or whatever it happens to be. You can look at these things and you can say, all right, maybe you don't like the behaviors of some of the people. Maybe you don't like the politics of some of these people, whichever direction it goes. Maybe so. But the simple idea of more comics in the hands of people, more abilities for people to take their ideas into comic form, the better for everybody. That's my view anyway. I want more doors opened, not shut. That's my perspective on it. Always been my perspective on it. What about yours? Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on what you think of all this, where you sit with all this. Again, I think you got to separate the people, how you feel about them personally, and just the very nature of what it means to grow your career and be in this industry. I think those are, in many cases, two very separate things, and they often get convoluted and mixed up together. Hey, if you didn't hate this, subscribe and like, or do none of those things. It's up to you. I'm totally whatever you feel comfortable with. I'm easy, man. Follow me on Twitter at Comic Perch. Ask me some questions there. I will answer them. And as always, thanks for listening.